I'm delighted to have Tim, the founder of epihunter, here today, and he is on a Zoom call from Belgium. We actually have this incredible device in our display at Netherlands, and it's an amazing technology which is wearable that I understand has the ability to detect absent seizures and notify teachers when one's occurring. Tim, please introduce yourself and explain more.
Hi, well, thank you, Emma, for this webinar, for setting this up. Yes, so what we actually do is we record and we signal in real time absent seizures because of the issues with the invisibility of those seizures.
That's just incredible. Can you tell me, well, how did this come about? This is just an amazing technology. I'd never heard of anything like this. What inspired you to create this device, and then importantly, how does it work?
Yeah, obviously, like many things in epilepsy, it's a personal story as well. So I myself have a background in leading digital teams. Before starting epihunter, I worked for more than 10 years at the great consumer electronics company Bose, from the headsets and speakers. And I led their digital programs globally. And it was a fantastic company to work for, but I'm also the father of a son who got epilepsy at 6 years old. And from one day to the other day, when he was 6 years, he started to have seizures every 20 minutes, day and night, at night with hallucinations. And obviously that was for him and also for our family life an incredible impact. From being a boy full with dreams, suddenly he had to cope with very terrifying seizures and disruptions throughout the day. And then it took another few months, I think, for him to be diagnosed with rank 20, rare chromosome defect, and which caused his epilepsy. And then from the get-go, our family life went into survival mode, where we try to keep up emotionally, but also with the other aspects, the social aspect of epilepsy and the financial impact of epilepsy. And when he was 6 years old, it kicked in. And when he was something like 9 years old, thanks to I think it was the 9th or the 10th cocktail of drugs, his seizures started to change, and they changed into more absence-like looking seizures, 1 to 4 a day. They lasted 20 minutes, but they looked much less fierce. And for many people then that was like the epilepsy was solved, and there was no impact anymore. But for us, for him, the impact was just as big as before. There was still the unpredictability of seizures. There was still the anxieties about the future, what will be possible in the future and what not, etc. So when at that age, especially, my son and I, we would have very regular conversations about his epilepsy and the impact of his epilepsy on his daily life at bedtime. And it was during such a conversation on March 15, 2015, where he said, "Papa, you work in digital. Can't you create a light that turns on when my brain switches off?" And that question was for me like an epiphany moment, because I realized that, and the reason that he asked that question was that his biggest impact of his epilepsy on his daily life was that people were always angry at him. And they were angry at him because they didn't notice the seizures, and therefore he would not fill out a test in classroom and have the feeling that he didn't have time enough, while the teacher would think he had the same amount of time as anyone else. I would ask a question again, or would react differently than before, or look like daydreaming, and he was simply fed up with that. And that's why he asked that question. And then and I realized that at that moment when he asked that question, that such a very simple thing as a light turning on in a classroom to say, hey, I'm not here right now, would have potentially more impact to his life and his future than any new drug. Because a new drug would perhaps decrease the amount of seizures from 1 to 4 a day to 1 to 4 a week, but still he would need to cope with the unpredictability and the impact of his epilepsy on his daily life. While such a light in a classroom, it would solve the issue of the seizures. It would make them visible and therefore change a bit the setting, the environment of him for his epilepsy. And I very regularly compare it with my glasses. My glasses are for my bad eyesight. It never cured my bad eyesight, but it took away the impact of my bad eyesight to my daily life. And I think solutions like this, like turning on a light in a classroom, can have a similar impact to daily life as my glasses for my bad eyesight. And so how does it work? We use indeed this very simple EEG headset. It uses the same technology as in hospital, but instead of with glue, it uses dry sensors. It's gold-plated copper sensors. There's only 2 active ones we use, so it measures the EEG on your front head. It's forehead, sorry. It's FP1, F7 which we use. And this headset, we don't produce it, we buy it. And the reason for that is that we didn't want to produce headsets for people with epilepsy. So these are being sold for concentration, focus exercises, etc. We use this captures the brain waves and it sends it via Bluetooth to a smartphone. And on the smartphone, we created a smartphone app that runs an algorithm and a formula which looks at those patterns and tries to identify, or it identifies then the absent seizures. And whenever there's such a seizure, we do something very, very simple. We turn on this light. And because the smartphone is upright in a holder on the desk in the classroom, the teacher sees the smartphone from a corner of an eye. She sees the light turning on and knows, okay, I'll need to repeat the content later for this child when the light turns off again. And by that, yeah, we remove the impact of the seizures from the classroom. In the meantime, what we can also do is have the smartphone make noise, sound, whenever there's a seizure. That's more handy to use at home. Also, something I learned as a parent is that neurologists very regularly ask parents to create a video of a seizure. That is very difficult to do. You're always too late. You press the photo button instead of a video button, of a video recording button. So we can have the algorithm also turn on the smartphone camera. And because the smartphone can be placed upright in front of the child or the person while watching TV, playing games, etc., it automatically then video records the seizure whenever it happens. We've built a dash cam functionality as well, which makes sure that it also contains the 30 seconds prior to a seizure. So the neurologist can see a full seizure. Also, we have created a second app which parents can store on their smartphone, and that provides that complete seizure history because we collect the data. Obviously, we don't throw it away, and we provide it back to the users via that companion app. There's a seizure diary that is filled completely automatically.
That's incredible, Tim. So a student in the classroom would wear this device on their head. They would have a smartphone facing them, recording if they were to have an absent seizure. And you're saying that a light would actually switch on, so the flashlight at the back of the phone would switch on when that child has an absent seizure that the device detects, so that the teacher and the classmates are aware and can be supportive of the child. That's just remarkable. Tim, in terms of wearing this device, I mean, it is actually much slimmer and slicker than I was expecting. But can it be worn with a cap, or can it be decorated or minimised in any way?
Yes, there are a couple of options for that. So the sensors themselves are on Velcro. So what you can do, for instance, is put a piece of Velcro in a sports cap here, and then have the sensors through a small hole here outside, and then with this module on the side, and then it's a sports cap. You can put it in a sports cap. It's as simple as this.
Incredible.
Yeah. What you can also do, obviously, is put some stickers on the outside, so you look like Pocahontas a bit.
It's remarkable. Tim, I guess people will be wondering, how do they know that this device will actually pick up absent seizures? Can you tell us a little bit more about that? I understand there's some tests going on in the USA at the moment.
Yes, that's correct. So first of all, what we did is we looked at, okay, what makes an absent seizure EEG different than while not being a seizure? And what we look for is a typical pattern of spike waves that happen 3 times per second. We trained algorithms on that, and we tested that with hospital data to see whether algorithms would confirm what a neurologist would say of the seizures. And our results were above 90% of accuracy, so very good already. And to prove that in the real world, we are now doing a clinical validation study, as how it's called. And it's a multi-centered study, which means that it runs in different hospitals. And the hospitals are Boston Children's Hospital, it's in Belgium, in UZ Leuven, it's Aarhus University Hospital in Denmark, and in Georgia. And we will invite, people will be invited for a hospital EEG and also use epihunter, and we'll compare the results vis-a-vis. It's a study for which we received a grant of Epilepsy Foundation, which is really fantastic and a very nice recognition from the US.
Wonderful. That's the Epilepsy Foundation of America, and what great work they do. So Tim, I know that there'll be literally hundreds of parents in Western Australia wondering how they can try this for themselves or purchase it, but I understand at the moment it isn't available to purchase yet in Australia. Any idea of what the timescales might be for it being available here, and also in regards to costs?
Yeah, so we are at the moment speaking with a distributor in Australia. So whatever moment that you're looking at this video, check our website for availability. We hope to make it available as soon as possible in Australia. It will depend on the interest, because obviously there's a lot of investment with something like this and setting up distribution. So we're looking at 2 things: are there sufficient people who would be looking into epihunter or would be interested for epihunter in Australia? If so, already, please go to our website at www.epihunter.com. There's an email subscription form. Fill that out so you receive our newsletters, then you will be informed as a first. But there's also a box with your country. And yeah, put it to Australia, and then we know how much interest there is from Australia, and we'll let you know as a first when it's available. And secondly, we're looking for a next investment round also to make possible for us to distribute towards Australia.
Wonderful. So you're asking our community if they're interested to jump onto your website, epihunter.com.
Yes.
And register for your e-newsletter, and that they will be notified when it becomes available in Australia. We do have a sample device at our offices in Netherlands, as I said earlier, and what we will be sure to do though is to continue to share on Facebook any news we hear from you regarding the availability of this product, and also regarding the results of that very exciting Boston Children's Hospital study, which has been been supported by the Epilepsy Foundation of America and the other hospitals that you mentioned. We'll certainly look forward to sharing the results of those studies when they are released. And Tim, thank you so much for speaking with me today. I do hope we'll speak again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.